Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ollie, and on this channel we talk about living and teaching English in South America. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and like this video to stay updated with everything that's going on. In this video, I'm going to talk about the cost of living in Bolivia's most expensive city, Santa Cruz de la Sierra. Everybody knows that Bolivia is kind of like the poorest country in South America, so I want to put into perspective what the cost of living is like here in Bolivia, just so that if you're thinking about coming to Bolivia but you're unsure about how much things are going to cost here in Santa Cruz, you can have a kind of idea about that. So I hope you find this video useful, and if you do, leave a comment and let me know what's going on. Yeah, let's get started. Here we are on a website called Numbeo, and I use this before I go traveling to look at the cost of living in terms of going for a meal in a restaurant, or looking at the local beer or stuff like that, just so I have an idea. And obviously today we're going to do Santa Cruz in Bolivia, and you can see that it is the most expensive city in Bolivia, and it's between 6 and 7% higher than in La Paz. I'm going to leave it in the local currency because I think it's important to know the local currency when you actually come to this country. So for reference, let's take a look at the currency converter. $1, one US dollar, is about 6.89 Bolivianos, and if we do $10, it's about 68 Bolivianos, okay? So that's what you need to know. You can use this as your reference when we go through the prices. I'm a single person, so without rent, it says 3,924, and this is actually very accurate. I will show you, I make a monthly budget, and I will show you what my average monthly budget is in a little while, but this is super accurate. I think I spend around 275 US dollars on rent, so that is 1,800. So you can add that on top of the 3,000 to get your number there. So this, if you're spending between 3,500 and 4,000 Bs without rent, you're doing a good job, okay? So let's go down. As you can see, it's one of the cheapest cities in the world. And it's the most expensive in Bolivia, so that gives you an idea of actually how cheap Bolivia as a country is. Okay, a meal at an inexpensive restaurant, this is pretty accurate. If you're spending between 15 and 25 Bs at an inexpensive restaurant, you're doing okay. And you'll probably get chicken or some sort of really thin beef with rice, salad, and yuca. Yuca they add with every dish. You can get it boiled or you can get it fried. So that really makes sense. And at an expensive restaurant, for me in particular, for example, I went to an expensive restaurant last night, and the price of food was, your cheapest meal was 50 Bolivianos, and the most expensive was 110 Bolivianos, and I got a delicious duck and risotto for 85 Bolivianos. So that's maybe $12.50 or something like that. There's no McDonald's, but you'll pay around 45 to 60 Bolivianos for a meal in an equivalent, like a Burger King or a KFC like that. And actually, the quality of these fast food chains here in Bolivia is actually pretty good. So not bad, not bad. Beer makes sense. Talking about craft beer, because we're all interested in craft beer, you're going to look to pay between 25 Bs and 35 Bs for 400 cc of beer. So yeah, that's quite accurate. And this is quite accurate just for your 600 ml bottle. For me, I don't shop at the markets because they give you everything in bulk. It makes sense for a family if you want to shop at the market. You'll pay 10 Bolivianos for 15 or 20 apples, which is amazing if you're in a family. But being a single person, I normally just go to the supermarket because I get everything that I need there. And the supermarket is my largest expense each month, obviously outside of rent. And I'll show you a pie chart of my expenses, which clearly shows that I spend so much money on food. In saying that, the food is cheap. You have a bag of milk, because they are come in bags, for less than $1. Fresh bread is quite I wouldn't call it fresh, but bread here is quite expensive. People normally get like French bread and they eat it that day. You can take a look at the bread if you want, at the market if you want that. Transportation, you're basically going to be spending between 10 and 15 Bolivianos. 10 Bolivianos is the least amount of money you can spend, and 15 Bolivianos is for a short trip. Anything other than that, it's kind of like 20, 25, or 30. They seem to do everything by 5 Bolivianos here. So for example, a trip that's more than 2 kilometers, you're going to be spending like around 20 Bolivianos on that, which is still pretty good, right? Comparable to what you would pay back home, it's still pretty good. Let's move on to like utilities, which basically is electricity. You don't need heating in Santa Cruz because it's so hot here all the time, or cooling. Water is about, I think we pay between 50 and 80 Bolivianos each month for our water usage. I think 50 is the lowest you can pay for my area in particular. And electricity is dependent on the month. Like in June and July, because it's a little bit colder but not too much, you probably won't be spending much on electricity because you're not using the air conditioner. But in every other month you are using the air conditioner. And I think me and my housemate, we pay between like 100 Bs and 300 Bs a month on electricity. In the hot months, it's normally like 300 because you just can't sleep without the air conditioner on. So yeah, this kind of makes sense here. 318 Bolivianos. Quite accurate, isn't it, actually? Depending on what fitness club you want to go to, I pay 450 Bs a month for my membership, but I go to like a country club where we have the gym, we have a big 30-meter pool, there's tennis courts, there's other types of courts there, so that makes sense. I actually don't do any shopping here because the quality of clothing in like your markets is not very good, and if you want to shop at like the chain stores, for example Zara, H&M, it's really, really expensive. Like you're paying prices that you would pay back home. And you've got to think that like the salary here is a lot less. So if you're paying for things on your salary that you earn here, but you're paying like first world prices, yeah, no thanks. Yeah, not good, not good, not good. Yeah, I touched on what my apartment was. So I pay around 275, and that's because we live in a 3-bedroom apartment at the moment, but when another person moves in, like it decreases to like almost $200 a month, which is super duper cheap. I think I forgot to go through internet, right? Yeah, internet. So here, that's a little bit expensive. I get my phone bill, internet and cable TV for 485 Bs a month, and we get 40 megs of speed each month, which is great. Yeah, so you basically have to remember that I am on a gringo salary, and the normal Boliviano would earn a lot less than this. So if you come here, you notice that people probably can't afford to pay this, which is really noticeable. But basically, if you're gringo, you're coming here, or you're like well off, you can live on this amount of money. But you will notice that there's a lot of poverty here, and people would struggle to live on this type of money. But I hope that helped you a little bit. Let's move on to my actual monthly budget now. I use an app called Travel Spend. It's super basic. You can basically add your trips as you want. You can click the start button, add your trip name. You can change the currency that you want. So I normally put it in Bolivianos because I earn Bolivianos and I use with Bolivianos. And I try and track every month. I've been a bit lazy in October and September because I was like, oh my God, I'm spending so much money. So let's go down to July, which was in the middle of the pandemic, but things kind of started to open up here. So if we have a look at my July spendings, I spent 3,500 Bolivianos, which is a little bit less than a single person normally spends, but that's fine. That's fine here. And you can see that 51% of my expenses was on groceries, and I wasn't lying when I said that's what you spend the money on, right? As far as everything else goes, we have fees and charges. That's like my bills, like paying for electricity, expenses, internet, things like that. Pedidos Ya is like Uber Eats, where I order food. Drinks, because you can't go out in the clubs, I think this is, I normally spend this amount of money anyway, because we have been just drinking at home instead of going out. Transportation is obviously on taxis and Uber. Coffee is when we go to coffee shops, shopping, and in general. So this is kind of like a normal month for me, and as you can see, I spend around 113 Bolivianos a day, and that really makes sense with everything that is going on there. So you can probably see that from Numbeo website, which is super useful. I definitely recommend you use it. And my app that I use to spend money on, that Numbeo is pretty accurate. Obviously, they're not accounting for the amount of money that I spend on takeaway food, but it's pretty accurate if you're thinking about, oh, how far is my money going to go when I'm living in Bolivia? This website is pretty accurate. Just don't spend money on Pedidos Ya, on Uber Eats, because that is where you lose lots of money, and that's where I have lost a lot of money. But yeah, super accurate, and you can trust this website that it will give you an accurate depiction of the cost of living here in Santa Cruz. Before I finish up, if you haven't already watched my video about the 5 things that I love about Santa Cruz, make sure you check it out. This city is really beautiful, it's really cool, and unfortunately I am leaving the city next month. Not gonna cry. But it's really cool, and I really do recommend that you visit here one day, because I've created a life here, and people have been super welcoming. Bolivians have been super nice, super friendly, and it's really the heart of South America. It is so South American. It is so different from like Buenos Aires, but different from Rio, different from other big cities in South America. Santa Cruz, it's like a big town, it's a big, beautiful town, and it's relatively cheap if you have the money to live here. So yeah, definitely visit, definitely recommend. Thanks guys.